session for today is called consistency. So once you have set your foundational principles, you need to be consistent in maintaining them. Being consistent in your thinking and processing your emotions and in being your authentic self will set a positive pattern to disrupt the habits that has been affecting your growth. So I don't know if you guys remember the acronym ANCHOR, which we set up to figure out what we need to set as our foundational principle and to share those things with our children and those around us who may not have a good foundation. So anything that we do continually becomes a part of us. It becomes who we are. So we have to continue in what we're doing and what we've started, right? You may have 100 good plans, but your inconsistency will cause you not to see it through. How much would you have accomplished if you have sought everything that you originally planned if you saw it through? How much more would you have accomplished, right? So having great ideas are great, but you need consistency and you need commitment to the process to see those ideas all the way through. There are gifted geniuses in the graves, right? They died poor, they died unfulfilled because they could not see through a plan. They may have just seemed like a homemaker, but they would have been a great engineer, right? They may have seemed like an alcoholic, but they would have made a great philosopher, but they would never know because they did not continue the process, right? So your mind, your ingenuity, your wisdom, the talent in your hands, your ability, they are the answers to the prayers for the next generation, and they haven't even been prayed yet, right? They're going to need us to survive in this next generation. So we have to take every great idea, every vision, and see every one of them to the end, okay? Don't let them die with us. The next generation is depending on us. Just as we stood on the shoulders of those before us, we have to give the next generation a fighting chance. If we start thinking better and being better, we will raise a generation that's built on what we've learned and then applied and not just what we were given, right? So we don't want to just pass on what we were given and it wasn't even fulfilling us. It wasn't even causing us to grow, right? We want to take what we're learning every Friday and apply it to our lives so that those after us won't have to go through that process all over again. Consistency creates steadiness, right? It makes you more reliable. You need to be reliable in your thinking patterns and your emotional health. Your inconsistencies in these areas will reveal that your processor isn't processing properly, right? We have to stop ignoring the signs that our thinking processes are off. If we're overwhelmed, we need to take a moment, right? We need to set up a schedule. We need to start eliminating tasks and responsibilities that was just set up to feed our ego. A lot of times we're overwhelmed because we're trying to scratch that people-pleasing itch, right? But the things that we're doing is not progressing us. It's not even progressing the people that we're doing it for, right? So whenever we're getting short-tempered, take a break. Take a moment for about 5 or 10 minutes before reintroducing yourself back into a situation or a conversation, right? Stop ignoring when your thinking process is off, okay? Consistency creates stability, right? Which brings you peace and help eliminate the chaos in your life, the toxicity, right? It keeps your mind sharp and it shows your dedication. Consistency is an attribute of a successful person. Consistency makes you successful in your friendships, your relationships, your business, your parenting, your emotional, mental, and physical health, right? It makes you successful in your finances. It makes you a positive influence in your community. So in order to be consistent, it takes discipline, right? It takes discipline, it takes willpower. It causes you to make long-term commitments towards your success. And I'm going to park it right there. It causes you to make long-term commitments towards your success, okay? Some of you are not committed to yourself, right? You stay putting other people's success in front of your own, other people's happiness, other people's opinions, other people's problems, other people's failures and faults, other people's children, other people's cousins, other people's jobs, other people's everything. But when it comes to you, you won't commit to anything that will make you happy, that will build you up, that will cause your progression, right? Consistency causes you to make long-term commitments towards your success. And what we've done is we've made these commitments towards everybody, everything else. Okay? When we do that, it's because we have a problem with our own value system. And that's why we can't handle rejection. That's why we're easily offended. Some people have yet to look in the mirror and actually like who you're looking at. You won't even give yourself permission to value yourself because somebody else undervalued you, right? You took on their version of you and became someone you can't stand to look at. Okay? Today, give yourself permission to value you. Today, not tomorrow, not when you feel like it. Today, give yourself permission to value you. Then you'll be able to make a commitment to yourself and keep it and not feel guilty, right? Because that's the other side of that is when you make a commitment to yourself to do something good for yourself, to feel happy about something, someone will come along and make you feel guilty for it, right? Who made you feel guilty for caring about yourself? Who? Who made you feel guilty about doing what was best for you? How does that work? How does that happen? And if this part of the session is for you, you have homework. For the next 7 days, when you wake up, name one thing that you like about you. We're going to get this value thing settled, okay? I don't know how deep you got to look to find it, but find something. Okay, ask somebody. If you just don't say anything, ask somebody what's your best quality and choose to believe what they tell you. Don't say, oh no, that can't be it. No, if they tell you that's what they see in you and you can't see it, right? Because your lenses are clouded. It's so full of condemnation. It's so full of just being undervalued and feeling not worthy. You can't even see it yourself. So when they do give you something that's a good quality in you, choose to believe them. Okay, so that by next Friday, you have something to value and you can stop having excuses for your inconsistencies when you're dealing with yourself. Okay, you will begin to show signs of success and stability in every area of your life when you learn to make a commitment to you. Okay, so every Friday, every one of these sessions is pretty much multi-layered. Sometimes we think we're dealing with one thing, but it's an underlying issue that is preventing you from receiving and applying what I'm saying. So the session may start off about one thing, but sometimes we have to dig a little deeper. So you don't get on here and, waste your time. So these group sessions, as I said, they are for you to discover the master's plan, for you to grow week by week. Those that know me know I don't care anything about accolades. You don't have to thank me. This is something I'm being obedient to God to do. I don't like doing anything just for the appearances of it. There needs to be transformation. There needs to be success in your life, proven success. Even if it's just starting with yourself. If it's just starting with you choosing to value yourself, that is success. So no matter how large or small you feel the growth is, it needs to constantly be happening, right? As human beings, we are constantly evolving. Okay, every little step gets you closer to being the best version of yourself, the version that you will be happy to finally meet, right? Consistency requires focus. Consistency requires focus. Okay? Focus on the commitments you made. Focus on the direction you're going. Focusing on your end goals. Focus is a part of your thinking process that forms your perspective. This is why the foods you eat, adequate sleep, exercise, and spiritual stability are important. Anything that distracts you causes double-mindedness. It causes frustration and irritation. And most people that deal with a lack of focus also deal with anger and aggression. Okay? They also deal with anger and aggression. They deal with impulse control. They deal with poor decision making, procrastination. They deal with feeling worthless. And this ties into their identity as far as how people view them, because it causes them to respond by creating new identities, by being secluded, by starting to deal with different mood disorders like manic depression or bipolar disorder, right? So when you're dealing with these types of disorders, it's even more of a struggle to stay focused. So you have to deal with your lack of focus when it starts, before it becomes a problem that you no longer have control over, okay? There are things that you can do to maintain it before it gets out of your control. So you have to be aware when your thinking processes are starting to trip up, they're starting to overwhelm you, okay? To maintain consistency, you must stop restricting your focus and limiting your sight so that you're only focusing on the hardships, you're only focusing on the failures, you're only focusing on the time you've wasted or the time you have left, right? Stop just restricting your focus to that. This only causes you to procrastinate. And when you procrastinate, you never commit to anything and nothing ever gets completed. One of the enemies to consistency is procrastination. So you have to create consistent habits. And you start small so that you can see that you are capable of being stable. Okay? Consistency also builds momentum. Consistency builds momentum. When you're in motion, you tend to stay in motion. I don't know if y'all can remember back to science class, right? When you are in motion, you tend to stay in motion. When you are stagnant, that's where you tend to stay at rest. Some people rest so long that they die without ever living the life that they were intended to have. Okay? The more momentum you have, the more force that it takes to stop you. And in order for that force to even be successful in stopping you, it must continue coming against you strong and for a consistent amount of time, right? Because when you don't stop immediately, in order for that force to break your momentum, it must increase the pressure or increase the time it's going to keep coming at you, right? It keeps piling stuff on you or keep letting the same thing happen a bunch of times. So you have to understand there will be opposition. There will be opposition, but you must have built up a drive that keeps you in motion. A lot of times, if you realize once you get started, once your mind gets set on something, you go. And so all of those things that used to trigger you, all of those things that used to get to you, you're plowing right past them because you built up such a momentum, such a drive, such a force that nothing can stop you. Okay, so you must become process driven more than outcome driven. Right? Sometimes we're so focused on the end that we're not understanding I have to be consistent in the process, right? A process-driven person has a self-governing system in place. They have created a type of discipline that controls and balances them throughout any process, okay? Focus on the process. You got to get through the process, whatever stage that might be for you. If you're at the beginning stage, focus on that. Focus getting completed with that stage, okay? You have to go through the process to get to the outcome. If you're not committed to the process, you will not see the outcome, okay? Make a commitment to yourself to trust the process. Trust the process. Accept that it's going to be some parts that you're not going to like, especially the parts where you have to reconstruct your whole foundation because you built it on air bricks, okay? Get rid of all of those methods and those customs and those requirements that you or your community or your culture has placed on you that interfere with your focus. Focus on your process. Your process may not look like somebody else's process. It may not be the same length of time that somebody else goes to their process. Focus on your process. You're going to run your race, okay? You remember, we're building our foundation. The acronym that was used was ANCHOR. You build your foundation on authenticity. You build your foundation on nourishment. This is nourishment for your soul, your mind, your emotions. Get things that nourish and feed it, okay? You build your foundation on being content and not complacent. Contentment, you operate at 100%, okay? Complacency, you're just satisfied. You know, you're not working toward any goal. Contentment, you're satisfied, but you're still working toward a goal, right? You build your foundation on honor. You build your foundation on order, discipline, right? And you build your foundation on healthy relationships, okay? You cannot be authentic if you're not consistently being your true self. You cannot be authentic if you're not consistently being your true self. Or you're authentic with your work friends, but you're not authentic with your family, right? Or you're authentic with your family, but you're not authentic in church, right? They're getting a different version of you. Or you might be authentic with your spouse, but not your children. Be consistent with yourself first, okay? Be consistent with yourself first. That way everybody else get a good version of you. I don't know if y'all can hear that lawnmower, but I'm gonna keep going. A lot of times what happens is you would give, your family needs to get that 100%. Your family needs to get that 100% of your authentic self, not something you collected together after you were finished with work, right? We don't want the 25% that's left over after you've committed your life to your job or your status, right? Maintaining good relationships are important for your growth because it holds you more accountable in your consistency. So we have to stop ignoring the people that's given the 100% of what they can, and we're substituting them for the ones that's given 15%, and it's all smoke and mirrors. It's not even real, right? Because you have something they want, so they pretend to get what it is that they want from you. Because the ones that are authentic, the people in your circle that are authentic, they will not allow you to procrastinate. They will constantly push you towards your goal. Those that are not authentic, they'll approve of your procrastination, right? They'll even help you push your vision to the back burner, and they'll keep you focused on things that purposely distract you, okay? Consistency is something that you must decide to work on. Somebody forcing you to do it, it would only make you resent them, and then you'll resent yourself because you know that they were right. So today I want you to focus on, and for the next 7 days, focus on being consistent. Start small. Where are the inconsistencies with you? Is it your word? Is it you constantly telling everybody yes? Start saying no. Be consistent in your no's. There are times you tell people no, and you really don't have the time, or you really don't have the funds, but because they know how to pull at your heartstrings, your no turns to a yes. No, be consistent in your decision. Unless God is instructing you to change your mind, be consistent in your no's. Be consistent in your no's to yourself. No, I'm not going to eat a whole bag of candy. I'm not going to do it. I know it's calling my name, but no, I'm not going to do it. Okay. And that's why it was very important for us to set those foundational principles, right? So that we can start having things that are set in stone, that will not move, that will not be shaken, and we can stand on that. Okay. So when we start being consistent in our thinking process, all of those feelings of being overwhelmed, all of those emotions that we've been experiencing, we will learn how to be consistently at peace with whatever's happening in our life. Okay, so I want to close with our statement. Today is the day for the new me. To follow the instructions that I've been given. And if you've heard instructions as I went through this session, write those things down. If you heard things that you're inconsistent on, write those things down so that you can start being consistent in those things, okay? So today is the day for the new me to follow the instructions, to be the example for my peers. I will be understanding. I will be more open to learn how to respond, to feel happy about all those things that once affected me. I am somebody's answer today and in my future. So what you do with your life today will affect those around you, even people that do not like you. If instead of going back and forth with them and doing the things that they're doing to you, you want to be consistent and be authentic to who you are. So if you are kind, an unkind person should not change you. Okay. If you are generous, someone who is stingy should not change you. Okay. Be your authentic self, and in that, be consistent so that you can be reliable, so that you can be steady, so you can be stable. And that stability will show throughout every area of your life. It'll show in your relationships, it'll show in your businesses, it will show in your friendships, it will show in anything that you are putting your mind to. It will show for sure in your success. So that concludes our session for today.